Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show. To all my new listeners, new episodes drop typically every Thursday. I always talk about my life, my interests, and the ways I'm trying to grow. So come on back through, you feel me? And for all of my day 1, 2, 89, 145, 200, right? Whatever week you came in, you were like, you know what? I'm going to keep listening to her. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, let's get into it. This has been a really interesting week. And so I feel like I want to encourage y'all in the lessons that I have learned this week. So, number 1, and I want to say this might be a short episode, but every time I say that, it'll never be like that because I be talking. So we'll see what happens. But number 1, all right. So I I was sick for a few days. And so then I didn't work out when I was sick, right? And then my first workout back after being sick was last Wednesday. And I remember telling him like, hey, I've been sick. I'm not 100%, but I'm kind of feeling better. So I'm going to work out. For those of y'all that don't know, I typically do CrossFit for my workouts, right? And so he was like, all right, cool. This is how we're going to modify it. All right, cool. So that was on a Wednesday. We have staff workout with my job. And then on Friday, I typically will go to a class, but I wanted to sleep in and I'm like still recovering. And I kind of saw that this week when I worked out. So I actually went to a different gym because I really need to grow in cardio, right? Like y'all don't, it just, bruh, when they be trying to make me run, it is just, and it's like, I just need to strengthen my lungs. Like physically, my body, like it doesn't hurt to run. My legs don't get sore. It's not that. It's just, I oftentimes feel like I can't breathe, and it was getting better. And then I got sick. And so on Friday, I decided I'm just going to go to this other gym, and I just ran on the treadmill. Well, not the whole time, like alternating running and walking, because I'm just trying to increase my lung capacity or whatever it is that I need to do so that I can be better at cardio, right? Okay, cool. I typically work out now on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for sure. Well, Monday when I woke up, man, my stomach, I don't know what was going on. So I didn't go work out. Okay, so then Tuesday was a struggle. Like, we had to do wall balls and ab mat sit-ups, and that's all it was. It was 50, 50, 40, 40, 30, 30, 20, 20, 10, 10. I ain't do all that. I ain't even gonna lie. I am very much the type of person that when I am in a workout, sometimes if I'm struggling, and coaches will do this too, like if you're struggling and it's taking you forever to get done to the point where you're not even remotely gonna finish within the cap, they have like decreased, reps or whatever for me. And so I'll do that on my own sometimes. Like if I'm really, really struggling and I could just see like, okay, today just really isn't a good day, I'll be like, all right, and instead of 50, I'm going to do 40. Or what I had to do too is for the wall balls, if you don't know what that is, Google it. I started off with a 10-pound ball. And then once I got to, I want to say my third round, I decreased to an 8-pound ball because I was like, well, they had said that was an option. Like instead of not hitting the target height, like decrease the weight so that you could keep going. So I actually ended up doing that, right? And then with the sit-ups, man, listen, sit-ups are just not, they're just a struggle sometimes. And so again, with that, I was struggling and it was just taking too long. And so I was just like, all right, I'm going to just do a little bit less per round. So then today we had staff workout and it was rowing, running, and jump roping. So just, it was very cardio heavy. And I've kind of noticed that Wednesdays are that way, right? I'm not saying we don't ever have weights, but I've just noticed in general, Wednesdays tend to be cardio heavy workout days. And so I did go out and run because it was just 200 meters. So I went out, I did my thing, but like I could not breathe. Like it was a struggle, like more than normal. And then that's when I remembered that I'm still recovering from sickness. I actually woke up this morning feeling like a little bit congested, or I don't know. Plus I had a headache. And so there was just a lot going on this morning to where I didn't really want to go to the workout, but I did. So I say all that. Hold on. Wait, I'm not done. So then there was this point when I straight like, there was a little bit of time left and I technically should have went back out and ran, but I could not fathom going out and run because that last time I went out and run, it was just such a struggle with my lungs. And so I told the coach, I was just like, I forget how much time was left. I was like, can I just be done? I've literally never said that. I was like, can I just please be done? Like, if you tell me I have to go out there, I will, but I'm really struggling. I can't breathe and, whatever. And so then he was like, yeah, you're still overcoming sickness. So instead of having you be done, he was like, go get on the bike instead and just do 15 seconds, go full, force or however he worded it, and then be done. Okay. So I share all that to say that sometimes in life, the goal or the thing to celebrate is just the fact that you tried. Like those two workouts literally sucked. Like my workouts last week when I was just coming back from sickness or whatever, those were actually better workouts. Like when I ran on the treadmill, I was actually pretty proud of how I was pushing myself because I just kept increasing the speed each time and whatever. So I was actually pretty proud of myself. For whatever reason, this week, the workouts were terrible. And at the end of today's workout, at the time of this recording, shout out to 12 Cal, I actually cried a little bit. And it's just so funny because there have been workouts where CrossFit makes me cry. And it's never really because of the workout. It's usually because of the mental battle that I had to overcome for whatever. It's always typically been something else going on the other times. Today it wasn't that. It was literally just the mental battle of I know I'm struggling and then having to go tell somebody I just want to be done. But my whole point with that, and just I want to encourage you, because it's like whatever you go through in life, there's going to be times where you are going to want to quit. There's going to be times where you are going to even want to beat yourself up, right? Because you didn't do what you normally do. Like the workouts that we did today, I really have done like these exercises before to where a 200-meter run, I've done that before. I didn't struggle the way that I struggled today. Wall balls, I could barely do like 5 in a row or no, I feel like 7 was as far as I could go without having to take a break. I've done 20 straight, and honestly with a heavier weight also. Now, sit-ups are not, I'm not the greatest at that, but I've still done better in everything I did yesterday and today. And what I could do is I could beat myself up like, oh man, whatever you woo. But here's the thing. I worked out, you know what I'm saying? I burned some calories. When I can see what I'm on or how my body is agreeing or whatever is going on with me at the beginning of each workout, I set my own goals. Like I do what they say and I try to meet whatever. And some days I have great workouts where I complete everything and I don't modify anything and I complete it underneath the time cap. And then I have days where I'm like, hey, like yesterday and today, at least I worked out. And so that's one thing I want to encourage y'all with is it's like sometimes you're not going to do things how you normally do it. Sometimes you're going to have off days, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Don't let your off days though, because what I can't do is like if I would have, man, yesterday was an off day and then just stop. Or man, I really just had 2 off days in a row and then just stop and never go back. No, don't do that. But then also, here's the key thing too, is the coach. This is why who you surround yourself, this is some other encouragement, is so important. Because when I went up to the coach and I said I wanted to quit, he had like 3 options. He could have, one, been like, because I said, if you tell me I have to go run, I will. So he could have forced me to do something that I already said I didn't want to do and explained to him why. So that's 1. 2, he could have just been like, all right, go ahead and quit. That's 2. But then there was a 3rd option where he's like, I want you to still, push yourself, but let's just modify it and meet you where you're at. And this is all you have to do. And then I felt good about the workout because I was able to at least keep going to the very end. Because that's one thing I try to do is like work to the end of the time cap if I know I'm not going to, when they have it like, oh, you got to do 5 rounds. Well, I ain't complete the 5th round. So like when I have stuff like that, it's like, oh, we'll just work to the very end. Today was a day where I was like, I just want to be done. And having that person that pushed me to where I could feel good about, okay, I at least met my other goal. Because I remember thinking like, okay, we only got to work out, I think it was like a 20-minute time cap or something like that. And so that's how my mindset be with CrossFit workouts sometimes. It's like either I know I'm going to be able to get the reps or whatever rounds or whatever the goal is, or, hey, I only got to work 15 minutes and I'm going to just do what I can do, right? And so those are just 2 things. But then also, let's go into some other stuff. It is so important, and I am learning it. Man, it is so important. And I'm a very impatient person, so it's so wild what I'm about to say. It's so important not to rush stuff. It is so important to embrace the journey and not just be so focused about the destination, because who you become on the journey to where you're going, also the way you're prepared on the journey to wherever it is you're going, it's either going to do 1 or 2 things. It's going to prepare you to wisely steward whatever it is you're trying to obtain, or as you continue to grow and evolve and whatever, it's going to show you that, no, I actually don't want that or don't need that, or that's not what's best for me. And you wouldn't learn that if you rush. And this can be applied to so many things. But since I shared whatever I shared last week, I will say this. I've had the few friends that know, I like this person or whatever. I've had some of my friends have been like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should whatever. And I have just really not felt like I wanted to do that. I have really just felt like I wanted to really just let this play out and see what happens. And a lot of that is because of all of the wounds that I realized that I still had to heal from. And like I said last week, sometimes healing comes from being in healthy situations, and then the healthy whatever friendship, we'll say love if you actually get into a relationship or whatever, just healthy relational dynamics, sometimes they trigger you because you're not used to that. And sometimes that helps bring healing. I talked about that last week. And so here's the thing. If I was in such a rush, and I had this conversation yesterday, and it's so funny because I had actually had this conversation with him, but being in a rush to get in a relationship with anyone is not the move ever. I had a really good friend of mine tell me recently, you have, especially when it comes to like marriage, but I know some of y'all might not be for marriage. So we'll just say long-term relationships, whatever. I am someone who is for and I desire to remarry. So you have to be willing to suffer with whoever you're going to be with. Let me explain that because that probably sounds really wild as much as I be talking about being healthy in relationships. And I definitely do not mean suffer because of the person. So I don't mean you have to be willing to put up with BS from someone to be with them. Not at all. What I am saying is what I have learned in the last almost 17 years of being single, which sounds really wild to say out loud, but that's my life and it is what it is. What I have learned is that life be life, and the things that me and my family have gone through in the last 17 years almost is wild, right? And so, especially the last 9 almost years, I think that's where we're at. Yeah, the last almost 9 years since the girl's dad was killed. We have gone through so much, especially since then. And so that is what has taught me that in life, you're not going to get to necessarily always determine what happens to you or what you're going to have to walk through or endure. And so sometimes you are going to suffer, right? With that, whoever you are with, you have to be willing to walk with them through the suffering. And then no matter what, y'all have to stay together. You have to fight for it. You have to fight for unity. I don't want to say fight for it. I like to say the word contend for it because fight has such a negative connotation to it. But you have to really work to have unity because you have to lay down your fears, your insecurities, your pride sometimes amidst suffering, right? So you have to be willing to suffer with whoever, and you have to like really know people's flaws, people's fears, their insecurities, their little quirks or whatever. Like you have to learn that about a person. And I personally think it's better to learn that ahead of time and not be in such a rush because I don't know. I'm just someone who, after my divorce, I really just have been on some, I don't want to have unnecessary heartache. And it's crazy because I still have had some heartache with situationships. So we know I haven't done this perfectly, but for like the last 8 years for sure, I have but really, I'll say this whole time, but we'll just say the last 8 years for sure. I have definitely like been way more intentional and just like, you know what? I am content alone. I have fun alone. I have great relationships alone. I have a great life. I have fulfillment and all these things alone. If you cannot add to that, I'm content being alone. And it's like once I got to that point and I started really figuring out even more and more who I am and what I need. And it's so interesting because with this person that I, like or whatever, I've actually learned, I don't want to say or whatever, but in some ways I just want to say names, but we not doing all that because he doesn't even know. So I'm going to tell y'all before I tell him, right? And so the thing about it is with our friendship, it's like I have actually learned a lot about what I would need from someone because of the way that he is, that I've never had to tell him to be this way. Like that's what's so dope about it is that's literally just how he is and how he's been as I've gone through a lot of stuff, even in just like the last 6 months, just how he responds to it is I'm like, dang, I didn't even know that that's what I would need, but like here he is providing it, you know what I mean? And so had I have been in such a rush, like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes I think about a cake. If you bake a cake and you have to have the cake first of all, you have to, have the right ingredients and mix them together for the right amount. Otherwise, the batter is not going to be the right consistency to do whatever. And then you got to put it in the oven and you're supposed to cook it for a set time. And if you take it out of the oven too early, the cake is not going to be edible. You know what I mean? And so it's like, don't be in such a rush. Like, slow down, because you miss stuff when you're in a rush. And don't get me wrong, y'all heard how long I've been single for. So it's not like I don't want to be in a relationship. And the situationships were because I have that desire. And so it's not that I don't want to, but it's kind of like I just view relationships a lot differently. And then with like the season that I'm in with, and it's always been that way though. It just looks differently. My life has always been kind of busy. Like, it's just before it was school, raising kids, working full time. And then it was working full time and whatever ministry or hobbies or whatever, probably all that. And then it was, just the various different things and interests, always in addition to working. Now, my life looks a little different in the sense that with the job that I have now, which is still so wild to me to just say that it's job, but I mean, it is my job. It's like, it's not the typical 9 to 5, but like Easter at a church in ministry, full-time ministry, being the marketing director and project manager at a church where we do a lot of content and a lot of different things. It is very, very busy right now. It is to the point where I am telling people, hey, we can revisit that after Easter because it's so busy. And so with that, my life is not the typical 9 to 5 life. And so then it's like, and I know this is what the Lord has called me to do. So then it's like, how does someone fit into that? You know what I mean? Like, so there's that to consider, because I'm not going to forsake what I know the Lord has called me into if someone's going to distract from that. Now, this person that I like does not, but if someone is going to like encourage that, be alongside me as I'm in that or whatever, then that's cool. But if it's something that's going to distract from what God has called me to do, that's not going to work. And so, man, yeah, don't rush. You know what I'm saying? Like, be patient, because, and here's the thing, I think about who I was when all of this began, when I just started noticing this draw towards this person. When I think about who I was then versus who I am now, when I think about who I was 6 months ago versus who I am now, when I think about who I was 3 months ago versus who I am now, when I think about who I was last week versus who I am now. And I say it that way, not because I was ever fake or not myself, but I have been very intentional about trying to heal and become a more healthy and whole person, mainly because I've just felt like this person doesn't deserve toxicity. I mean, nobody does, but like, he's definitely been nothing but good to me. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, with that, it's forced me to, okay, I'm feeling this trigger, this unrest, this whatever. Why? Because it's not related to anything that he actually did. Okay, so what am I actually feeling? And like, going to discover that and figure that out and find healing or whatever. So I'm not the same person that I was. And so it's kind of like, had I been in a rush, the version I am now is like the best version of me. And that'll always continue to be a thing. But it's like, this is why you can't rush. So like, that's my encouragement to y'all, right? Sometimes, one, you just got to celebrate the fact that you tried, even if it don't turn out the way that you thought it would, right? Two, who you surround yourself with matters. Surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed at whatever your goal is, and that will challenge you, within reason, right? Because remember, he could have been like, nah, just go ahead and run. And that actually wouldn't have been the play, because I was struggling, and that actually would have made me feel more discouraged because I wouldn't have really been able to complete. And that's one of the things I love about the way this gym coaches is they're not trying to have us feel discouraged when they can see that we're struggling, because then it's going to make you feel like you can't do it. So him giving me that, hey, go do this for 15 seconds, full speed, that was cool because I felt accomplished by doing that. And then the third thing is, man, don't be in a rush, right? Let the journey prepare you so that you can wisely steward whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Because here's the thing, y'all. Let's say this goes how obviously I'd want it to go, where like he's on that too and whatever. Man, I'm so glad that I've done the work to heal and be healthy and whole so that I'm not hurting somebody because of my woundedness, or, I'm able to freely, love someone the way they need to be loved, but then also receive the love that I need, because being unhealthy and wounded can hinder you from receiving the love that you desire. You know what I'm saying? If all you've had is just trauma and mess and you haven't healed. So like, yeah, y'all, don't be out here trying to rush. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you are taking care of yourself mentally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself emotionally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself spiritually and physically. Be healthy in your relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all listening. I love you so much, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for